Yeah, I had a question about something you said today,
Yeah.
and I know you probably don't have a completely how do you say that? It's a little bit like how do you view this, but question, but
Okay.
um yeah, so there's a thing that's watching but that's not separate from like the content.
Hmm.
And but I w- so but I wonder like what exactly ties consciousness to a body, because it's almost like I can't get my mind around it, and I probably never will, but I'm still want to ask about this. It's like there's nothing really that's watching, but how come that nothing is tied to my body?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question, eh? So, if we take a dream at night,
Yeah.
why is it in a dream at night that you take a position? Why not watch from the whole entire dream
Yeah,
simultaneously?
I've wondered that too. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's because it's an impossibility. You can imagine a film, if you're going to have apparent subject object, you're going to have a position and a location of looking. So if you imagine a film, could you watch a film simultaneously from every angle?
No.
So I think
Yeah, yeah.
it's like that. It's like if life looked from every single position simultaneously, I don't think it would be able to experience. I mean, this would kind of become very chaotic and chaos based. I think it's like, you know, when you play a board game, there has to be specific rules in order to play the board game, otherwise, you can't play with someone. And in order for life to form, there has to be specific rules and there has to be a location of watching, because looking or hearing from every angle simultaneously feels like it would become like white noise and disappear in itself. But I don't know.
Yeah. What comes up if you say this, but it makes sense. But still, there's a sense of me that like it could be possible, maybe. Like in a way, like everything is possible. I feel like it's like this experience, maybe not through the lens that we know what this is right now, but maybe through another lens, something like that could be possible. I would imagine. Um, but
Yeah, anything's possible in a way. That's the beauty of our nature, is infinite possibilities. I mean, it's so miraculous. This
yeah.
we're watching it from a particular time movement. But if we watched it from a different perspective, especially from one that was sped up, like the magnificence of this, of what's being created, and the possibilities. I mean, it's so detailed what's happening. It's
Yeah.
so beyond.
I think like the identification part as well. I think if we never would have created like a self, there also never really would have been an experience. Like it's annoying the separate self and the identification, but in a way when you like identify and de-identify, it's almost, yeah, I don't know. It's in a way I think it almost would be like kind of dead if there was never identification. If that makes sense. I don't know if that's true, by the way, but that's just what's coming up now from me. Like if there was never identification, I would just be like, yeah, I don't know. Like there would never really be an experience. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It also depends the meaning in which we match up the words with. I mean, I get the sense that I'm kind of getting what you're meaning, but always we can put wrong meanings onto words and then the sentences can become completely different.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
words
definitely.
have so many potentialities, especially with the movement of combinations.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I had an insight yesterday, or like an insight, like I have a lot of like mini awakenings, or insights. I don't know how to like slight energetic shifts, and they kind of often come with like a revelation or like an perceptual shift, even though it can be really small. But I was contemplating on when my karma started. So when my traumas and all those things started, and I went really far back, like from childhood. I could like feel like it's almost like I had like energetic memories from my childhood, but it was almost like there was something like, did it even start before I was born? It felt like that, and then something dropped away, and then I was just mind blown. Like I was shocked. I was like my whole body was just like really open. Like the sense of time fell away for like a moment of two. And I'm not saying it started before death, but I can't also say that it didn't start before death. Which, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that magnificent? I
Yeah.
mean, this is what they say in the East, you know, in Buddhism and Tao and Jainism, is that that karma comes from beyond this life, like from previous lives. They say it in all slightly different ways, some making it more personal, some making it less.
Yeah.
But I certainly feel that way. If you're of a more scientific mind, then you could look at it more genetically.
Yeah.
But if you like the woo-woo, then you can just go for it and be like, yeah, I've had billions of lives. And I'm a wise old bugger now because I've been alive for so long.
Yeah. I don't really like woo, but at the same time I really like energy. So for me that's like when it's like a really energetic experience, then I
Yeah.
then I really then it becomes woo. But yeah, I don't know.
What, are you a sci-fi or a fantasy fan? Or neither?
Like fancy, like, oh, I was a dreamer all my life, so I I,
No,
I always dreamed
I
like,
mean like
uh,
in books and TV and stuff.
oh no, neither. Oh,
No,
in
neither.
book in TV I didn't really read like fictional books, but in TV, um I guess both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, more sci-fi
Oh yeah, because I was going to say the
usually.
woo-woo is the fantasy.
Mm.
I'm a
Yeah.
woo-woo and a sci-fi. I love both, actually.
Yeah, yeah. I was more a sci-fi guy. Yeah. Um. Oh, I
Yeah,
was
it's all
about.
imagination, so it doesn't really matter. Whatever we say or speak always goes into our imagination and words and meaning, and like it. Like we always come back to this full stop of what we are, which is this right now, which has no words, has no descriptions, has no woohoo, has no previous lives, has no
Yeah.
anything. It's just like here and blazing and bright and like woohoo, waiting for that identification to relax enough so it can shine through and be like, you're also this. But it doesn't really have that momentum because it also doesn't care. Not that it's
Yeah.
uncaring, but it just doesn't have the possibility to care. Like right now, do the walls care? Does the air care? Does the room care? The human has caring, but this
Yeah.
is beyond that. It's a mystery. It's like, we don't know what the walls feel or not feel, or what the air feels or not feel. It just is still here, right here now, present.
Yeah.
And then we go into all the woohoo and the not woohoo and the past lives, and that is majestic and marvelous, but it's always in imagination. So yeah, like in one way you have no karma, and then in another way, when you look at the body, you see that the body is an endless manifestation since the beginning of time. So of course the karma is not personal to this body, but it doesn't start or stop anywhere. It's like this endless formation.
Yeah.
and that karma is carrying on in the apparent timeline. And that
Yeah.
also points to the invisibility of individuality. There
Mm.
isn't an individual, there isn't a point where this belongs to you and this is yours, because
Yeah.
in the apparent story that we're manifesting, it is an endless succession, one thing to another to another. So it doesn't mean individuality. And then we
Yeah.
go back to this moment, and this moment isn't moving, isn't in
Mm.
time, never is in time, never is bound, never has karma,
Mm.
never suffers, never needs anything but itself. It is itself,
Mm.
has no questions, has no need to understand, has no need for the intellect. It's free. It's just watching, and that watching isn't a human intelligence. That watching isn't something coming from the brain. It is in all things, and that is the experience when the chaos of the mind settles.
I'm sorry. I'm having some energetic stuff happening, so just taking it in all.
Yeah, there's no need to
Ooh.
reply. I love it, when I first meet someone and I'm like, hey, and they just smile at you, and then there's just like a dissolving into silence. I sometimes feel a little uncomfortable when people bombard me with words.
Mm.
But I can take that, and I understand the human game and ritual of that, and I also appreciate the vibrancy of their expression. But it's also so nice just feeling all of it, like, so hi, and then like being able to have space to feel all the feelings that arise from this human coming into the experience, the
Mm.
excitement, the nervousness, the anticipation, the boredom,
Mm.
whatever it is that arises.
I've yeah, I really feel what you I think I really feel what you mean, and I think I know what you mean. Um, it's like a lot of times we're not showing up completely to certain moments, um, because they're too uncomfortable.
Yeah,
So when you're like in a conversation with someone, sometimes it's really appropriate to have a silence,
yeah,
but we're so not used to it. So what happens is a lot of uncomfortable feelings rise up, and one of the people starts to feel like a pressure to say something.
yeah,
But it's really beautiful if you like meet someone. I have like a few friends that like that as well now, or I can just be completely silent with, but not dissociate. Like you're with everything, even with the uncomfortable feelings of oh, we're now being silent and we're not. It's still like a really strong connection without communicating. And that is like a communication in and of itself, or something. It feels like it's really
yeah,
intimate.
yeah.
Feels it to me.
Yeah, people put too much attention on the dexterity of the mouth.
I was with
It's
a friend.
oral fixation. We're all stuck in infants.
I was with a friend, a woman friend. She's very wise as well, and she herself at the energetic shift as well. So for me, it's really comfortable to be around her. And I was meeting up with her in Amsterdam, and it was the second time I met her in real life. And I was going through a lot of energetic stuff, and I was not feeling like talking at all. And so she said, "Hey, how are you?" I said, "Good." I said, "Kinda good, but I'm going through a lot of stuff." And at that point, it even didn't feel appropriate for me to ask to her, "How are you?" Even that felt like too much. So I said to her, "I want to ask." I want to ask you how are you, but that feels really wrong, and I don't really want to talk right now. And then she said okay, and we just walked through Amsterdam, and for 20
Yeah,
minutes we didn't talk to each other at all. Just after meeting, it was just that, and then we
beautiful.
walked to Amsterdam, and we didn't talk to each other at all.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that's my type of heaven. I do like talking. I don't mean to, but it's just so nice when you just really like show up. Like that's just beautiful.
Mm, yeah, and I really, and it was uncomfortable for me because I'm so used to, yeah, giving in to other people about having to talk.
Mm,
But I knew I didn't have to do that with her, and
mm,
even though a lot of comfortability arose, it was really nice to just stay with that and let it flow through me instead of
mm,
having to react to it. Yeah.
yeah. And then you walk through Amsterdam, and the whole
Yeah.
time Amsterdam's like, "This is it, this is
Yeah.
it." And then you walk past the "I am Amsterdam," and it's like, "I am Amsterdam. Yes, you are. This is it. This is it. This is it." Like everywhere you looked was the same there. It wasn't any different.
Well, I want to share one more thing if that's okay. So when I was walking with her, one moment, and it was already after we started talking a little bit, but so one moment I was walking with her like in a crowd through the city, and everything became completely silent, like absolute silence. And I don't mean like auditory silence. I mean like visceral
Yeah.
silence. You know when like someone screams at you, there's like it's almost like when you hear like a loud sound, it's almost like a physical component to it that hurts you.
Mm-hmm.
And and this whole visceral thing, it felt completely away. So it was like I was in the, I don't know how to explain. It's almost a little bit like heaven, but even like
Yeah.
more thinner than heaven. It was.
Yeah. And do you think that a lot of the people that are listening can tell the differences, the two different things that we're talking about at the moment? Like, so you then just went into a story of what happened, an experience, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's really beautiful. I love stories. I write, and I love fiction. I love what it can do to your imagination, the power of words, the way you line them up, the way you phrase them, the way you tell the story. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that people can tell the difference between that story and that silence, that stillness of what is, and that story of what happened to you is actually nothing to do with what's happening now? It's a story arising in this, but it's no really different from any other objects that's arising in this. It's not really indicative of the past and a future that we're going to. It's a still phenomena that's rising right here, right now. Like so in these conversations we go in and out of stories, and then the story kind of pulls the mind into this time-bound imaginary place, which is beautiful and heavenly. But a lot of the time people are so caught up in that, they believe that that's more real than that what's happening now, whereas that is not real, that is fiction that's happening now.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Because I love talking and going between the talking of the now, the talking of singularity, and then the talking of duality. But when people are listening, I wonder if they think, when they hear a story like that, that that's got something to do with a spiritual awakening, or it's got something to do with what's being talked about, non-duality, because it sounds like it. It's like a story of you that had this experience of silence, and it sounds like it's got something to do with the nowness of now, but it hasn't. It's a fictional story, just like reading a book, which is really beautiful and it's relevant to you. And I'm not saying you have to drop it or not speak about it, but it's not the truth of the situation.
Yeah.
It's not something that's actually ever happened. There is a seeming appearance of that, and there's a seeming appearance of Amsterdam and the silence, and that's beautiful that we can speak about it. But it's not talking about the freedom. The freedom is wordless and right here always, and that is simply an imagination. And I feel when I'm speaking with people, they kind of often, a lot of the time, I'm sure a lot of the audience that's listening to this talk can kind of split it up, but they can't really split up the two. And there is still this investment in the me that's going to become enlightened, or the me that's going to get this at some point.
Yeah.
And this investment in stories that in some way liberation or freedom has something to do with the story, whereas it's really nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
It's like the lights of a projector. So the lights a projector onto to a screen, and they're creating a film. So they're creating all this movement and these appearances, you know, sort of like a woman walking down the street or something. But whatever the lady does in the film, whatever's happening in that film, isn't pointing to the light which is creating the film. So if the woman goes down the street and has a spiritual awakening, that's still not pointing to the light which is shining still there now. Even if she goes and meets a liberated master and has all these types of experiences, it's still not pointing back to the stillness of that light which is creating the film. So it's so like interesting. Like I have these talks with people and we slip in and out to storytelling and then speaking about this moment, and I just wonder like how many people actually can really perceive the two different things that's happening in that interaction.
Yeah. I think it's good that you pointed out, because I feel like if you're not, I don't have the energetic shift. I have a lot of shifts, but not the energetic shift. So I can't talk about that part. And for me, and I think for a lot of people, like you do, even though it's not it, you do kind of associate those shifts with like you're on a journey, even though the story, even though it's a story and it's not true, experientially it feels feels like it's a little bit true. And and I really like, especially you're so well, you remind me often as well, like to radically point back to what you're trying to convey, and I really like that about you. And so I don't know the answer to your question, but I think it's
in the end none of us really know anything. We're all like making presumptions and kind of, I mean, in the end we're all in this state of not knowing, believing we know something. Like really, I on one level I could answer everything that is asked of me of like I don't know, and that also is true. But I seem to like love to say lots of different things, lots of combinations of words lined up in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, again, nice speaking to you.
Yeah, Hans, it was fun speaking with you as well. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. And until next time.
Yeah, doei.
Have a good stream. Doei. Au revoir.
Bye.